Greetings everybody, how are you all doing? Retro Beard here. Today I'm proud to be showing you part 2 to my Retro Freak video. So I'm going to be covering quite a few things such as the accessories, a few of the extra functions and a few, secrets to the unit. So let's get started. First we have the controller. It's obviously modelled on the Super Nintendo controller of old, and I feel it's got a bit of Game Boy Advance flair to it as well. Then we have the gear controller. This holds Master System cartridges, Sega Mark III cartridges, Game Gear cartridges, and Master System game cards. It just slots into the Mega Drive slot, and voila, you're accessing those great old games. Then you have the NES adapter. This is for allowing PAL or NTSC cartridges to work on the console in the Famicom slot, because this is primarily a Japanese console. It's practical, it works. Yeah, what more can I say about it? It's of course worth noting that this NES adapter comes included with the console, at least in the EU edition, and I would assume the USA edition, whereas the Master System adapter you have to buy separately and it can come at a considerable cost. And here we have the controller adapter. This either comes included in the premium pack or you have to buy it separately at usually quite a premium cost. This fits quite a range of controllers, and I'm not entirely sure which goes into which slot as I don't personally use it. And it's worth mentioning that the console only comes with one controller usually, and any others must be bought separately. And here we have the unit itself. It's quite a small, compact, understated unit with sort of Super Nintendo vibes, but it's quite a minimalist design. I personally like it, but it seems to be like Marmite. Some people love it, some people hate it. Those 3 ports at the front that we were just looking at are USB ports for 3 controllers. You can also use a USB hub from 4-player multiplayer games. It's fully compatible. And the 2 slots, one is PC Engine Express TurboGrafx, and of course the other is Game Boy, Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance. And the 3 cartridge slots that we were just looking at the top are Famicom, Mega Drive and Super Famicom, with compatibility also for Super Nintendo and Genesis. You've just witnessed an additional semi-secret feature of the console. The actual brains of the console could be detached and taken with you as a compact, small, standalone console that contains all of your ROMs, but does not retain the cartridge receiving ability. And it also has USB controller ports, an SD card controller, and it powers from the basic adapter. This is one of the amazing features that separates this from the competition. So, with all that said, I hope you've enjoyed this. There's going to be a part 3, but I thought I'd cover just a few more little bits before I go, because this console is so feature-packed. That's why I love it so much. One feature that I will show you on the software side, perhaps at a later part, is this: you can put your cartridges into this console and actually rip the games from the cartridges and keep them on your SD card or your 3 gig of included internal memory. Now I was keen, I bought a 32 gig SD card, well, micro SD card, and it was too much, because even when accounting for the small size of retro games, there's an additional factor. One of the downsides of this console is the more games on the SD card in the system, the longer it takes to boot up and be usable in the OS. I mean, I put thousands of games on and it takes 10-15 minutes to even be usable, which isn't practical for, for people like us. So I would recommend a small SD card. I can't think of a size, like a 6 gig or a 3 gig or a 4 gig, something like that, a small one. And that will hold, I think you'd have a reasonably quick boot up time with 1,000 or less games, or perhaps a couple of thousand pushing it. So let's face it, when it comes to retro games, if we cherry pick the best of the consoles this machine runs, that would be plenty. So take that lesson from me if you plan on buying one. Either use the included internal memory, or at most just get a small SD card, a few gig. And the good news is that's really cheap, so you're not paying out for extra bits like you do when you buy a Switch. So yeah, I will go into this in more detail in part 3. Please leave me a like if you've enjoyed this. Give me a comment. I love comments. I love talking to you all, because otherwise I feel like I'm talking to myself, to be honest, which I suppose I am, but you get what I mean. and I will see you all soon for part 3, and thank you very much for the support. And I wish to do a quick shout out, thinking about it, I wish to thank Retro Wolf 13 for all of his support and for his shout outs, because he's a fantastic guy and an inspiring bloke, so I recommend you check out his channel. I always recommend Dark End Tracks, an old friend of the channel. We don't keep as much contact as we used to because life's busy. In the lockdown it was different, we had the time, but his channel's fantastic. I still frequently watching his videos. He's doing Atari ST videos, which if you're into that retro gaming stuff, he does some fantastic videos on obscure and not so obscure games. Another chap, which hopefully I'll pronounce his channel right, Taustein or Taustein, fantastic videos. He's been all kinds of stuff. I can't even say what he does. He does music videos of games, gameplay and all sorts. And I always enjoy, who else is there I want to mention this time? If I forget your channel, don't feel left out, because I will mention you next time. I'm just doing this off the spur, and I'm sure anybody who does YouTube knows that your mind goes blank when you do shout outs off the spontaneously. So I'm going to leave it at that. I will. Oh, I'll tell you what to mention quickly. Get Start Games, or Get Start Games. His channel's fantastic. Really passionate and great production values, unlike my videos. So I recommend him. But with that said, I'm going to go now. This is Retro Beard signing off. Bye for now, and thank you.